using this. Okay, so I think we are back with our
Recording in progress.
right. I just log off. Krishna is very merciful. We do not have to struggle more a lot. Okay, let me share the screen quickly. So see, okay, I am not. Yeah. So see, I hope everybody is able to see the screen. Okay. So what is he saying is, Pashyanti Jnana Chakshushaha. So anybody who has this eyes of knowledge, right? See, why is Krishna using this Jnana Chakshu? Because even in the 13th chapter, if you'll remember, he's used this word Jnana Chakshu, right? And now this is the second time he's using this word Jnana Chakshu. So with Jnana Chakshu, one should see what he should see, that this soul is entangled in this material existence. So if I have the eyes of knowledge, I will be able to see that how am I entangled into this material body and how am I suffering. Without the eyes of knowledge, somebody is thinking that, yes, I am enjoying life, I am enjoying life. And a drunkard is thinking, I am drinking. But a person who is sober, he sees that this particular drunkard, he is trapped or he is shackled by addiction. And that addiction is making this drunkard person run from one body to another. We say, no, sometimes pillar to post. So he's just running from one body to another body. So, like that, this soul is also actually under the spell or the under the subordination of the modes, and it is controlled by the modes. The modes are impelling him to do certain things. And because this soul is under the spell of these modes, he's moving here and there. But Vimudha Nanu Pashyanti. But this particular person who is a Vimudha, who is a foolish person, he does not perceive this. वो समझ ही नहीं पाता है, या हिंदी में इसको बोलते हैं, उसको चमकता ही नहीं है. He does not perceive. And this particular foolish person is thinking that, I'm enjoying this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Kartaham iti manyate, he's thinking that that I'm the doer, but actually he is a moodha vyakti. So Krishna has told the same word, this moodha, in even the third chapter. So this person is coming in the body, he's trying to enjoy, but all this is happening under the influence of the modes of material nature. And then because it is happening under the modes of material nature, if you see in the purport also, as a result, he is suffering different kinds of happiness and distress under the illusion of sense enjoyment. So somehow someone is suffering in happiness. You might wonder, how can somebody suffer in happiness? So happiness is the part of that package overall, but there is, happiness will be very little. but suffering will be lots. And for that little happiness, uh, he will be able to. Mm, there is a shlok actually in the Bhagavatam. What is that shloka? Soham nirnam shula sukhaya dukkha. Just give me 1 minute. I'm just trying to trace that shloka. Oh, it was, I think, in the third. Let me just check with the third. What is this? This is SP. Yes, this is only the one I'm looking for. सोऽहं नृणां शुलसुखाय दुःखं महद्गतानां विरमाय तस्य प्रवर्तये भागवत पुराणं यद आह साक्षात् भगवान ऋषिभ्य. He's saying that soham nrinam shullaya sukha. So for very shulla, very little happiness, he wants to take mahat dukha. And when he wants to take छोटा सा सुख के लिए बहुत बड़ा दुख लेना चाहता है वो. And he's saying that he wants to we महद गतानाम वीरमाय तस्य. And he does not want to actually enter only into this you know he doesn't want to exit only from these miseries. He's entangled into extreme miseries for the sake of very little pleasure. But then he's saying that this Bhagavad Puran, which was directly spoken to great sages by the personality for the benefit of those who are entangled. If somebody wants to really come out from that entanglement, then what he has to do is Pravartaye Bhagavad Purana. He has to listen to the Srimad Bhagavatam, and this particular Bhagavatam. So it's like two Bhagavatam. One is book Bhagavat and the other is the person Bhagavat. And he has to take the shelter, and that's how he can come. So this happiness, it is a part of that package. And uh, and that is only that little happiness is only trapping me for that big suffering that is there. But overall, actually, I'm getting that suffering. Okay. So next we have. So here who is saying that who cannot see and who can see. So he's saying yatanto yoginaschainam pashyanti atmi avastitam yatanto api akritatmanoh nenam pashyanti achetasah. So he's saying that the endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. So here is a qualification that is given actually who can perceive. So only the transcendentalists, who are situated into self-realization. So yatanto yoginas chainam, those yogis who are striving for yoga, right? So yoga means what? Link with the supreme. Those are trying to link themselves with that supreme. So Chainam, he's saying that. So he's saying that uh, this reality of how this soul is getting entrapped or is getting trapped in this material existence, and he's being dragged by these three modes. So uh, Pashyanti, only those yogis who are endeavoring, जो लोग बहुत प्रयास कर रहे हैं, वही पश्यन्ति, वही देख पाए, those they only will be able to see. And somebody might wonder that how are they seeing or how are they able to perceive? So atmani avasthitam yatantah, atmani avasthitam means they become situated on the spiritual platform. When one comes on the spiritual platform, he is able to perceive. What he is able to perceive? That I am trapped in this material existence and these modes are dragging me. So, but then he's saying that yatanta api akritatmanah. So, others may endeavor, but still they are akritatmanah. See, there are two types of endeavor. One is in material existence and one is in spiritual. But they might not be situated on the spiritual platform. There are many people endeavoring, but what are they endeavoring on? Sense gratification. But over here, this particular person is endeavoring for what? He's endeavoring for yoga, linked with the Supreme. And because he's endeavoring for that yoga, he is situated on that spiritual platform. And then he's saying that Atmani means this particular soul, Akritat Atmana. So he's situated on the spiritual platform. When he's saying that he's, self-realized, but over here means only he's situated on the spiritual platform. Therefore, what happens? Nainam pashyanti. Nainam pashyanti achetasaha. So, one is not able to perceive because he does not have a developed mind. Achetasa means undeveloped mind. He is not able to perceive because of that misdirected consciousness, and because his consciousness is misdirected, he is not able to perceive or he is not able to see. So see, both are endeavoring, okay, over here, but endeavoring, one is atmani avasthitam, one is situated in the self, and the other is akrita atmanah and achetasa. They are not able to perceive. The one who is atmani avasthitam, he is able to perceive. Okay, if he is situated in himself, then he is able to perceive. So this means that it is not just enough that we desire and strive to perceive the spiritual reality. See, the previous slok is saying that anybody who is having jnana chakshu, and in this verse he's saying that there is pashyanti, right? So uh, uh, actually the logical connection is that with the eyes we see, okay, like whatever is really required to see in this material world we see, but what is required to develop this jnana chakshu, somebody say that eyes of knowledge when we say Jnana Chakshu. So it is not just our endeavors or efforts that is important, but that endeavor should lead to a transformation by which I can become Atmani Avasthitam, right? I should become, the soul becomes situated on the spiritual platform. And that is why if you see, um, Prabhupada also, what he used to say, that just endeavor or somebody's willpower is not enough. Like, for example, if a person is blind and there is a very beautiful painting, so the person cannot see, and he might try to see it for a very long time. His eyes are there and he's standing in front of the painting, and he may try to, see, but he cannot see. How much ever long he's standing for 10 hours, 20 hours, 2 days, 3 days in front of the painting, he does not, um he's not able to see that painting. So then what is required to see that painting? Some correction or the treatment of the eyes is required so that he can see that particular painting. So just endeavor is not, required. There has to be guided endeavor. Guided endeavor. So the guided endeavor will do some treatment. Currently, we are guided by spiritual masters, right? If somebody does not have a spiritual master, he is guided by Srila Prabhupada, right? So, then when he's having this guided endeavor, then there is some treatment going on. And then with that particular treatment, this particular person, he gets the eyes and then he's able to see. So, both, yatanto, right? This endeavor, and just by yatanto pashyanti will not come. But with that, there should be some transformation also, so that he can come to that Atmani Avasthitam state. That means the spiritual, platform he is able to say. So, that is why, what is that endeavor that we do in the beginning is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaran. The first endeavor that we try to do in these Bhakti Shastri class or in the Bhagavatam classes or in Bhakti Vaibhav or in Bhakti Vedanta classes, we are, trying to hear. It starts with hearing that, there is a higher reality with, and we, with that higher reality, we get some perception, then we're inspired to, go ahead more. And when we go ahead more, then we perceive also more. So initially we have to do a little bit of endeavor or pursue by, hearing. And hearing itself is actually pursuing. It's a big endeavor. भाई हमें तो सुनाने की आदत है, हमें सुनने की आदत नहीं है. All the time we are trying to be little Ishwaras, right? Hey, everybody should hear me. I should not be hearing anybody. But the moment the soul starts hearing, the jiva starts hearing, then a little bit of favorable inquisitiveness in the initial stage can also help that little soul. And that process starts beginning of this uh, yatantah, yoginam enam pashyanti atmani avasthitam. So one cannot see because of this undeveloped mind, achetasah, right? And why he cannot see? Because his consciousness is caught up at that material level. But when see, even in when Krishna says na bhog aishwarya prasaktanam taya achetasah vyavasayatmika buddhi samodo na vidyate. So chetasam is this consciousness. Chetasa, what is it? Chetasa apaharat, उसकी चेतना को हर लिया है. His consciousness is abducted. उसको ना kidnap हो गया है. So aparat, is also, is being kidnapped. So by the attachment to this matter, this consciousness has got kidnapped. So we have to be very careful. We should not be, like small children. And we should not, take small, beach mein naps. So, so when we don't behave or when we are not childish, then we have to recognize our spiritual life. We have to recognize that, this spiritual life is a very serious pursuit, and I should not be very casual and playful, like children are very casual and playful. And we don't take, see, taking naps means not to be lazy. बीच बीच में हम लोग है ना लेजी हो जाते हैं. Oh, let me not chant and let me not read and chant, let me not hear. No, we have to be constantly alert. The sense object should not entrap us, right? We have to recognize that spiritual path is a very uh, continuous endeavor or pursuit. And as soon as I lower my guard, then Maya is there, to just catch me. And there is that shloka in Chaitanya, Nikatiya Maya Tare Jhapatiya Dhare. So Maya will immediately pounce on me or immediately will capture me. So, this is, uh, like, some kidnappers are there, and as soon as these kidnappers they get that opportunity, they will pounce on the little child and they will drag him away like that. So we have to be very alert. And in Krishna consciousness, whether we feel high or low or dry at any point of time, we have to keep on endeavoring. We have to. Sometimes, there are many, lows in our life. Things are devastated completely. But still, our anchor should be, the lotus feet of Krishna. That anchor, उस anchor को छोड़ना नहीं है. We have to situate ourselves on that spiritual platform. And see, situated on spiritual platform means what? That, we have to act as a soul as much as possible, because what does it mean to be like acting like a soul? सोल का काम ही यही है कि उसके मालिक को प्रसन्न करे. The soul's constitutional position is to please Krishna, is to please his master. And also, acting on the spiritual platform means what? Not acting on the bodily platform means letting our bodily desires rule our life. We should not be doing that. Acting on the spiritual platform means letting the need of the soul to shape my life. Right. So, to be at the spiritual platform does not mean that one has to be fully realized. But we cannot entirely, we cannot entirely be at the spiritual platform right now, but we can act at the spiritual level at a very significant level. So those who let their bodily desires and drives them So then that is killing it achetasa. This consciousness is dragging away. He's dragging away me from कृष्णा. तो आपकी चेतना जो है ना, वो कृष्ण से दूर नहीं होनी चाहिए. किसी को भी जो है, आप वो जो है हक नहीं दोगे, या आप किसी को भी वो राइट्स नहीं दोगे who will drag you away from Krishna. So even, if you see Krishna in the uh, third chapter, I think, just give me 1 minute. Sometimes we might not remember, but at least is Mudha word. Somewhere 30th के आसपास ही है मेरे ख्याल से. Yeah, see. ये तो एताद अभयुस्युतन्तो नानुतिष्ठन्ति मे मतम सर्वज्ञान विमूढस्तन विधि नास्तान चेतसः. Those who out of envy disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled and ruined in their endeavors of perfection. So, achetasa, their consciousness is dragged away from Krishna. Chetana means, consciousness, and achetasa means there is no consciousness, where it is supposed to be. Like you can say, no, oh, she's a very absent-minded person. So her consciousness is not present in whatever activity he or she is trying to do. So because of why? Because of excess material desire, uh, mm, one's consciousness is not focused on Krishna, or because of excess material desires, one is not conscious of Krishna. One is conscious of what? One is conscious of matter. Like, if, somebody's consciousness is somewhere else, like lust. So even while taking darshan of Krishna, in the temple, the consciousness is somewhere else. So that is why he is saying that over here, yatanto api akrita atmanah nainam pashyanti achetasah. So even if one endeavors, but if one is not striving to be situated on the spiritual platform, then that person cannot perceive spiritual reality. Then we may say that, what yatanto, this yatanto in this particular, second case, it is saying that misinformed endeavor. Misinformed endeavor means uh, the example that I gave is a blind person is trying to see the painting. So if you see even in the purport, even though they are endeavoring in a so-called yoga system, they are not realized. Such people cannot understand the process of transmigration of the soul. So, when, Prabhupada is saying over here that they are not self-realized, means they have some very hazy conception of the soul. Because of that hazy conception, they do not take some active or, tangible steps towards self-realization. And that is why uh, they neither have any comprehension nor self realization resulting through it. So that is why where my consciousness is matters a lot in this case. मेरी मेरा आत्मा, मेरी चेतना जो है वो कहाँ पे स्थित है? Is it hovering on material lust, or is it hovering around the lotus feet of Krishna? You know, the bumblebee is always around that lotus. So similarly, the pure devotees of the Lord, they are constantly, like bumblebees, and they are hovering around the lotus feet of Krishna. I've socha, you can imagine a scene where, there is a lotus flower and there are many bumblebees around it. And here is Krishna's lotus feet, and there are many, pure devotees who are just completely focused on the lotus feet of Krishna. What a wonderful scene this is. So, let's go to the next. I think with the next shloka, I will just try to end, but this is a little important shloka. So, oh, what should I do? I don't know. Let me just check. So, see what they say in the Subodhini also. Even since enjoyment is impossible without the help of the Lord, one can develop his Krishna consciousness even while living in this world by appreciating Krishna as the maintainer of the phenomenal world. The following verses help us to know how things are taking place in this material world and thus to be established in knowledge. Okay, so now the verses from 12 onwards, at least till 15th. Yeah, 12 to 15 is actually saying that how, what is Krishna's position and how the Supreme Lord is our maintainer. So he's saying that Yadaditya tejo jagam bhasyate akhilam yachandramasi yachagno tattejo vidhimamakam. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me. And the splendor of the moon and the splendor of the fire are also from me. So, see, in the Subodhini, if you see, there are two things, Krishna is saying that Krishna is our maintainer at cosmic level also, but Krishna is our maintainer at even personal level also. So let's see how Krishna is our maintainer at the cosmic level. So, how Krishna assists us at our material existence and our spiritual endeavors. So that is the connection between how Krishna assists us in our material existence. Of course, in these two shlokas, it has been, said, and our spiritual endeavors also. So, if you see that the correlation between this verse and the previous verse is that the previous verse said that people should have jnana chakshu so that they can pursue this atma. But the question comes up that if a person is not able to pursue only that particular atma, what if a person is at a bodily platform or the bodily level itself, and the person does not have this or he is not so developed in his consciousness or in his thinking that he is not able to perceive the soul, then how can such a person make some spiritual advancement? Or uh, mm, is it that for such a person, this spiritual advancement is completely blocked and he won't be able to actually advance spiritually at all. So, no, it is not blocked because Krishna starts talking about himself then. And how this Jnana Chakshu can refer in different ways. So, Jnana Chakshu, this particular soul or Atma, or we can try and we can perceive, the hand of God. Bhagwan ka haath is sab mein hai. And we can try to perceive what is Krishna's role in my life or the Supreme Lord's role in my life. What is the difference in perceiving this Atma Tattva? Actually, perceiving Atma Tattva, it requires more of you can say, critical thinking or more of an intellectual in-depth, contemplation or, more of a sinking or penetration, which is really not very easy. But even if somebody is at the material level of consciousness, who's not able to perceive this particular spiritual reality, so even if he sees, the hand of God in all these material, things. So whatever material things we have, we cannot get even by our own selves. Even those come by the arrangement of the Lord. कोई भी चीज जो है आपके पास अगर आई है, any person who has come towards you, or any opportunity that has come, it is always by the arrangement of the Lord. And this has been actually, we're talking about these things only. So we are getting jnana chakshu, by perceiving the higher arrangement in this material world. So we want jnana chakshu, but we can't perceive the Atma. But we can get some jnana when we start perceiving the spiritual reality, that how, of course, in terms of how, Krishna's hands is in every instance of my life, and there is a higher arrangement for me by the Supreme Lord. So, this particular verse is actually talking about how this um, Atma is engaged in different coverings, and in this particular material world, of course. So, it's like a very broad covering there is around me within this particular material world, and how Krishna arranges for my maintenance at a material level also. So, uh, like, and that arrangement is made by, you know, the splendor of the sun or the moon or the fire, which is really required for me. So, over here he's saying that Yad Adityam Gatam Tejo, when he's saying Aditya means the sun, and आदित्य गतम तेज है, तेज जो है ना भगवान का तेज, या सूर्य का तेज जो है, that splendor, and the splendor of that sunshine. And what is happening with the splendor of the sun? Jagat bhasyate akhilam, the whole universe is getting illumined by the sun. And then saying yat chandramasi yat chagnu, and what is happening, even the sun and the moon. So he's saying that that splendor is coming from what, from whom? Tat tejah, that tej is coming from whom? Mamakam. You try to understand that effulgence is coming from me only. See, uh, uh, when he's saying that this Yat Aditya Gatam Tejaho, Krishna has used, sun, moon, and fire. Okay. Even in the sixth shloka, what did he say over here? That na tat bhasete surya na shashanka na pavato yad gatva na nirvite tad dham param mamaha. So Krishna is saying that in spiritual world, these three are not required because spiritual world is self-illumined. But that is not the case with the material world, right? In the material world, the reality is not self-luminous. So we need some sources of illumination and also some source of nutrition for our body and senses. So without the energy coming from the sun, nothing can be possible. So the important point over here is tad tejo vidhi mamakam. That that effulgence is coming from whom? That effulgence is coming from me. Although the sun may appear, you know, some mechanical process, but the important point is that who started that process? Who is maintaining that process? So Krishna only has given us the sun, Krishna has only given us the moon, and he is only giving us the fire. So he's saying Tat Teja Vidhi Mamaka means what? That illumination is by my arrangement. You know, uh, uh, there are many arrangements we may study in and their engineering and other places, but the ultimate designer is who? The Supreme Lord. So Krishna is saying that by my arrangement, okay, or I make that arrangement by which the existence of this material world is possible. So that arrangement is at the cosmic level. And that is why, Prabhupada also, if you see in the purport also, what he writes, where did I- the very first line only says that the unintelligent cannot understand how things are taking place. But one can begin to be established in knowledge by understanding what the Lord explains here. Everyone sees the sun, moon, fire, electricity. One should simply try to understand that the splendor of the sun, the moon, and the electricity are coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And now, this conception of life is the beginning of Krishna conscious. Lies a great deal of advancement for the conditioned soul in this material world. When you all must have come in the beginning of Krishna consciousness, you all must have definitely heard this. कि अगर सूरज न होता, अगर चंद्र न होता, तो क्या होता, right? And then you say, so nice that we have sun, and that sun, the Supreme Lord, is only actually, giving us. So they may say that the sun is there, enjoy and live, but that is how animals are living. When the sun comes, then all these birds start chirping, and the cock starts cooking and all that. But animals don't think. Why? They just think that okay, this particular season has come, and they think that only everything is for my enjoyment. So as human beings, we should not only think how, but we should also think why. So when you say science, science is mostly thinking on that, focusing on how question, but why nobody is thinking. So this Atma is an eternal Atma, and uh, we have to see it from is, we generally see it from a material point of view. So that is why in this material world, Krishna is not involved, but he's just Upadrishta and Anumanta. He's only overseeing, and by the touch of his sight, things work. So when he glances at the material world, that is creation. As soon as the Karadaksha Vishnu glances On the Pradhan, everything gets activated. In the second canto, we have seen, right? So, and then Krishna is also saying, na, Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sa Charachara. Under my supervision, this Prakriti is working. So, when we look at that majesty of this material world and we understand that oh, everything is happening by Krishna's arrangement, it's not some automatic thing that is happening. So, even a person, when he's seeing at a material level of consciousness, it needs some background for existence and enjoyment. And these backgrounds, they do not come by chance, they come by some divine plan. And when we recognize that divine plan, then we can appreciate the Supreme Lord. Everything is, we can really appreciate on a daily basis that, I'm so fortunate that I'm born in a place where there is the sun, the moon, and electricity. Without that, what would happen? So we can appreciate all. Okay. With that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop over here so that uh, we can continue the next time, and hopefully the next time we should finish off this chapter. Yeah, yeah. We'll finish off this chapter. And anybody has any questions, queries, doubts, you can ask me.
Hare Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Mataji, yes, we in 15.11, as you mentioned, that when we are doing service for a Lord, we are doing Aarti, and we still get the some desires, like for I am doing Aarti and I feel some lusty desire. How can we get rid of this, or how can we come out of these things?
See, for example, when I'm focusing on the Supreme Lord, then when I'm standing in front of the Supreme Lord, I can have those prayers which are
Okay.
glorifying the Supreme.
Okay.
So then those desires will not come. Sometimes we're just standing and we are looking at the Lord, but then there is some other thoughts that are there behind my mind that are coming. So
Yes.
when I go in front of the Supreme Lord and I do these three, four things, then we can, not get those desires.
Hmm.
That, we can have our own some personal prayers that Krishna, let your desires be my desires. Let,
Okay.
I make the goal of my life your desire. Let the goal of my life be the desires, to fulfill the desires of my spiritual master and your desires. That, see, there are many desires Krishna has, in the Bhagavad Gita also, and in the Bhagavatam also. So if we try to fulfill those desires, like, see, when you go in front of the Lord, you actually appreciate the Supreme Lord, you glorify the Supreme Lord, you thank him, then you talk about your own position, that, I am so low and I am so this, and still you have accepted me. Aapki dayaniya sthiti, that I am small and you are big, I am Anu, you are Vibhu, and still you have accepted, you're so kind. Some, personal praise you have. And Krishna also knows that, we have lusty desires. It's nothing that we don't have lusty desires. But we can pray to the Lord that Krishna, I'm having many lusty desires and I'm having many lusty thoughts also. Please help me to remove those thoughts because they are a blockage between me and you. They are stopping me to come near you. So please help me, to get rid of these. And please let me understand that you are only the one who should be enjoying. I'm not the enjoyer, you are the enjoyer. We see, last come then we want to enjoy, right? But when we understand that no, there is a supreme enjoyer, then we will know that okay, no, he is the only supreme enjoyer, and let my enjoyment be in his enjoyment. So only if he enjoys, will I get some enjoyment? But if I don't give him any enjoyment, then even I don't have the right to enjoy. This consciousness, then it will help us, Prabhuji. Okay?
No. Thank you, Mata.
Yeah. Anybody else has any questions, queries, doubts? Okay, if y'all don't have, then we'll just wind up for the day and we'll meet on next Saturday. That is, I think, the 8th of February. Yeah. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna, Hari Bol.
हरे कृष्ण दंडवत प्रणाम माताजी
Hare Krishna,
हरे
Dhanavad
कृष्ण
Pranam.
धन्यवाद।